2009 was the first year that I really started getting better. But I had to do something even crazier than medical marijuana to do that. I've been reading on Jeannie's health blog about how drinking, going on a raw milk diet might be a way to kind of cure Crohn's disease. And when I first read about this, I was like, no way. That's crazy. Raw milk has got to be like the worst thing for a person like me to do. But I just kept getting worse and worse. So by the time I went to the cannabis specialist that year, he just got red in the face, angry with me. Like, you can't just keep letting yourself fall apart like this. It ain't good. I knew I had to try something big. So I started drinking raw milk, and I don't know whether, like, one thing that milk does is it patches up the gut, and it makes it really hard to see if you're bleeding or not. Like, you could still be bleeding. I could still be bleeding and not know it on the raw milk diet because of the way that the milk hides the blood. But, you know, not seeing the blood every day, maybe just that is what made it so that I could heal as much as I did that year. I went from 90 something pounds to around 120 in just a few months. It was amazing. But this doesn't mean that I didn't need the pot. Drinking a glass of raw milk, glug, 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 like that, it was basically like, okay, I start the day doing that, and every time I drink a glass, I'd smoke half a joint. Go get a glass of raw milk and try to chug it and see if you can keep it down without smoking a joint. I mean, that's some serious work there. I was drinking a gallon a day for months, and I actually stayed on this raw milk thing up until the end of 2011 when the farm I've been getting it from, I think they got raided by the government. I'm not sure if they did or not. A lot of raw milk farms actually got raided by the federal government. Like, I can only get so far from big raids. I don't know why. Yeah, 2009 was mostly about the raw milk. 2010, I'm just going to go into that right now. 2010, it started off good. I was on the raw milk. I was able to have a good garden. I was able to do a lot of work. But, you know, the woman I was living with was getting bored with all that. So she started going to another one of our friends' farms and working there. It was kind of rough for me to be doing things myself, but at the same time, I liked being able to. It was the first time that I ever could. So I wasn't stressing out about it. And she'd still be there about, like, you know, 6 or 7 days a month. And I had enough help to really get things done. It was good. Then one day I tried to eat something that I probably shouldn't have tried to eat. And this I'll just say it. You know, I had a problem with my butt that was causing me to bleed, and it inflamed, and it hurt so bad I didn't know what to do. I guess because the bleeding had stopped, like it swelled up in there, and the only recommendation that I could find on the internet was to buy a medical laser and point it at where the problem was. Now, $700 for a medical laser or go to the hospital. That's not really what it was about. It was about, here's something that I can get and do on my own, or here's something that's going to take me away from the farm and ruin everything. I made the obvious choice. I bought the laser. I didn't know how well it actually worked until a year and a half later when I went back to a gastroenterologist. And this was the same one that saw me on my first blood transfusion in 2007. He didn't recognize me. He looked at where my problem was, and he says, It looks like you had something there, but it closed up. He was referring to a fistulized abscess. This means that underneath the skin there was a huge abscess, and it was so bad that my body had created a drainage tract to leak the pus out. It's gross. But pointing the laser at it actually fixed it. Also in 2010, I started using a mineral supplement that made a lot of my memories come back, and I got to know one of my greatest friends because of that. She was actually an expert on altered states of sober, like drug-free altered states of consciousness. And when my memories came back, I remembered, hey, there was something kind of crazy that happened at the beginning of 2005 where I kind of tripped out and tried to forget about it, and I guess I did forget about it. And I mean, bleeding to death for a few years and make you forget about a lot of things. I started taking this mineral supplement, all my memories came back, and I got in touch with this woman who is an expert on that subject, and she helped me figure out what had actually happened in 2005. That it's actually called a spontaneous near-death experience, or Kundalini awakening. It seems like the right word, but it seems like there should be a word in front of that. Anyway, so I mean, I was doing good. I was drinking the raw milk, being healthy, getting work done on the farm. I overcame a huge health crisis, and I got to meet someone who became one of my greatest friends of all time, who's an expert on something that I really wouldn't have had any way to understand without her opinions. 2010 was really one of the greatest years ever for me. Except for at the end of it, when the local sheriff's department decided to raid the cabin. And that was in the very beginning of December that year. So I mean, went from being some of the greatest times to being some of the hardest times. And I mean, in one way it was time to move anyway. I mean, I was planning on moving a year later, but I just got really good at growing, and I wanted to keep doing that. Some of the things I've learned out there, they've been able to help people I know who still grow, but I never really got to do it myself, and I'd still like to someday. Yeah, getting raided in that cabin was probably just about the hardest thing that I've ever been through. I mean, I've had all sorts of medical crises, but the thing that really got me was when the cops came in while I was gone and took all the medicine that I had grown that year and really left me up a creek without a paddle. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't afford to buy medical pot, and I didn't really know anyone who would give me any, so I just had to make do. I stopped smoking, and well, I'll tell you how that went.